The Young and the Restless spoilers Wednesday full episodes January 14th, 2025 The hidden ally. The air in the dark, damp basement was thick and suffocating, but Sharon refused to give up. She sat on the cold floor, her hands trembling as she gripped the rusty iron rod she had found earlier. The rod had appeared out of nowhere, as though someone had deliberately thrown it into the shadows for her to find. It didn't make sense. Was someone helping her? Or was it another trick her mind was playing, like Cameron's ghost? Cameron's voice echoed in her thoughts, taunting and reassuring in equal measure. You can do this, Sharon. Break free. They're underestimating you. But Cameron wasn't real. He was nothing more than a fragment of her mind, a coping mechanism born from the crushing isolation. Sharon shook her head, trying to focus on the task at hand. If she could just break the chains around her wrists, she might stand a chance of escaping this hellhole. As Sharon prepared to strike the chains with the rod, the door to the basement creaked open. The dim light of a flashlight swept across the room, and Sharon barely had time to shove the rod under a pile of debris before Jordan appeared. Jordan's presence was oppressive, her voice dripping with condescension as she stepped into the room. Oh, Sharon. Still clinging to hope, are we? It's almost endearing, really. Sharon glared at her captor, refusing to show fear. You'll never get away with this. Someone will come for me. Jordan smirked, leaning against the wall. You think so? No one even knows where you are. And by the time they figure it out, she let her words trail off, her meaning clear. Face it, Sharon. You're all alone. But Sharon wasn't sure that was true anymore. Someone had to have thrown the rod into the basement. Someone out there knew she was trapped, and that gave her a sliver of hope. Claire's confrontation. Meanwhile, upstairs, Claire stood face to face with Jordan in a confrontation that had been building for years. Her voice was cold and steady as she leveled her gaze at the woman who had caused so much pain. You're finished, Jordan, Claire said firmly. I'm done letting you manipulate people and ruin lives. You're going to prison, and there's nothing you can do to stop it. Jordan's expression flickered with unease, but she quickly masked it with a confident smile. Claire, darling. You're letting your emotions cloud your judgment. Think about everything we've been through together. The good times, the memories, doesn't that count for anything? Claire's eyes narrowed, her voice sharp. No, it doesn't. The past is the past, Jordan, and it can't change what you've done. This is about the present and the future, and I won't let you hurt anyone else. Jordan hesitated, then played her trump card. You're making a big mistake, Claire. Do you want to know where Sharon is? Because if I disappear, she'll die. She's locked away in a place no one will ever find, and without me, she'll starve. The revelation. Claire's blood ran cold at Jordan's words. You're lying, she said, but there was a note of uncertainty in her voice. Jordan's lips curled into a sly smile. Am I? Think about it. Sharon's been missing for weeks. Do you really think she just vanished into thin air? She's alive, Claire. But for how much longer depends entirely on you. Claire's mind raced. She couldn't let Jordan walk away, but if what she said about Sharon was true, she couldn't risk taking drastic action. Where is she? Claire demanded, her voice trembling with anger. Jordan crossed her arms. You'll find out when I decide it's time. Until then, I'd suggest you rethink your little crusade against me. If you send me to prison, you're sentencing Sharon to death. Sharon's breakout back in the basement. Sharon knew her time was running out. Jordan's taunting had only strengthened her resolve. Once the door slammed shut and the room plunged back into darkness, she retrieved the hidden rod and went to work. With each strike against the chains, her arms ached, but she refused to stop. Sweat dripped down her face as the metal links finally gave way, the sharp sound of breaking iron echoing through the room. She was free. Her legs wobbled as she stood, her eyes scanning the room for an escape route. The small basement window was boarded up, but she noticed a loose panel near the base. She pried it open, her heart pounding as fresh air rushed into the room. Crawling through the narrow space, she emerged into the cold night, her bare feet sinking into the damp earth. A twist of fate. As Sharon stumbled through the woods, she saw headlights in the distance. Summoning her last reserves of strength, she waved her arms, shouting for help. The car screeched to a halt, and the driver jumped out. It was Kyle. "Sharon," he called, running toward her. "Oh my God, it's really you." Sharon collapsed into his arms, sobbing. "Kyle, it was Jordan. She's the one who took me. She's been keeping me locked up in that basement." Kyle's face darkened with rage. "We'll make her pay for this, Sharon. I promise." The final showdown. Armed with Sharon's testimony, Claire and Kyle confronted Jordan one last time. But Jordan was ready for them. She revealed the photographs Ian Ward had taken, threatening to expose Claire and Kyle's secrets if they didn't back down. "What's it going to be?" Jordan sneered. "Your freedom or your revenge?" Claire stepped forward, her voice unwavering. "Neither. You're going to prison, Jordan, and this time you won't talk your way out of it." As sirens blared in the distance, Claire revealed that she had secretly recorded their conversation, including Jordan's admission about Sharon's captivity. The police stormed in moments later, arresting Jordan as she screamed and fought. Ian's game. Even as Jordan was taken away, Ian Ward's shadow loomed large. He still held the photographs, and his motives remained unclear. Was he simply a man who thrived on chaos, or did he have a larger scheme in motion? Claire and Kyle knew they couldn't rest until they uncovered Ian's true intentions and neutralized the threat he posed. Freedom at last for Sharon. Stepping into the sunlight felt like being reborn. She vowed to tell her story to everyone, to expose Jordan for the monster she was and to make sure no one else suffered as she had. With Claire and Kyle by her side, she felt stronger than ever, ready to face whatever came next. But in the shadows, Ian Ward watched, a sinister smile on his lips. The game wasn't over, not yet. This version captures Sharon's escape, the intense standoff with Jordan, and Ian's lurking menace. Let me know if you'd like to delve deeper into any part of the story. Smiling face with smiling eyes. The silence of Jabot. The Abbott family, long-standing rivals of the Newmans, had taken a step back from the limelight recently. But this wasn't due to weakness or disinterest. Jack Abbott, the savvy and calculating CEO of Jabot Cosmetics, had been quietly laying the groundwork for his next big move. Alongside Diane Jenkins, who had recently re-entered his life, Jack was formulating a strategy to take advantage of Victor Newman's vulnerable position. Victor Newman's empire, Newman Enterprises, was weathering turbulent times. The Newman family was embroiled in internal disputes, and the company's stock was underperforming. Jack saw an opportunity to strike, not just to outmaneuver Victor in business but to destroy the Newman dynasty once and for all. Ian Ward's calculated move. Ian Ward, the infamous master manipulator, had been monitoring Jack's hatred for Victor for years. He knew that if anyone would welcome a chance to topple Victor, it was Jack Abbott. Ian approached Jack under the guise of an ally, proposing a private meeting to discuss their mutual interest in dismantling Victor's empire. Jack, cautious but intrigued, agreed to meet Ian at a discreet location. The conversation was filled with veiled intentions and subtle power plays. The meeting between Jack and Ian over a bottle of scotch in a dimly lit room, Ian laid out his perspective. "You and I have something in common, Jack," Ian began, swirling his drink. "We both know the kind of man Victor Newman is. A tyrant. A man who believes the world bends to his will. Wouldn't it be satisfying to watch his empire crumble?" Jack's expression remained unreadable, but his eyes glinted with curiosity. "And what makes you think I need your help, Ian?" "Jabot has stood strong for decades without alliances with individuals like you." Ian leaned forward, a sly smile on his face. "Because this time, it's not just about business, Jack. It's about power. Together, we can orchestrate Victor's downfall from the inside out. I have access to information and connections that even Victor hasn't uncovered. Think of it as leveling the playing field." Diane, sitting silently beside Jack, finally spoke. What's in it for you, Ian? You're not exactly known for acts of charity. Ian's grin widened. Let's just say I enjoy chaos. And if chaos benefits you, well, that's a win-win, isn't it? Jack considered Ian's offer, weighing the risks and rewards. He knew Ian couldn't be trusted, but the opportunity to weaken Victor's empire was tempting. Victor's growing suspicion meanwhile, Victor Newman's instincts were sharper than ever. Despite his recent challenges, he sensed a new threat brewing. Ian Ward's name had come up in whispers around Genoa City, and Victor was determined to uncover his motives. Victor confided in Nikki, his longtime confidant. That snake Ian Ward is up to something. I can feel it. He's like a vulture circling, waiting for the right moment to strike. Nikki frowned. Do you think he's working alone, or is someone else involved? Victor's expression darkened. If Ian's involved, there's always someone else. I wouldn't be surprised if it's Jack Abbott. That man has always wanted to see me fall. Victor assigned his most trusted security team to keep tabs on Ian, determined to uncover his movements and alliances. His goal was clear, to force Ian out of Genoa City before he could cause any real damage. Jack and Diane's plan. Unbeknownst to Victor, Jack and Diane were already putting Ian's resources to use. While Jack remained wary of Ian's true intentions, he saw value in exploiting Ian's network to access confidential information about Newman Enterprises. Diane, ever the strategist, played a key role in the plan, using her charm and cunning to secure allies within Newman's ranks. Their strategy was twofold: economic sabotage. Using Ian's insider information, they began undermining key Newman projects, causing delays and financial losses. Public perception. Diane worked to tarnish the Newman brand through subtle leaks to the media, portraying the company as unstable and poorly managed. The goal wasn't just to harm Newman Enterprises, it was to force Victor into a position where he had to choose between protecting his company or his reputation. Ian's hidden agenda. While Jack and Diane believed they were using Ian as a tool, Ian had his own agenda. He thrived on chaos and saw an opportunity to pit Genoa City's most powerful figures against each other. Ian planned to let Jack and Diane weaken Victor, then swoop in to claim the remnants for himself. Unknown to Jack, Ian was secretly feeding information to another unnamed party, ensuring that no matter who won, he would emerge with leverage over both the Newmans and the Abbotts. Victor's countermove. Victor's patience ran thin as his suspicions about Ian and Jack grew. He confronted Jack at Jabot's headquarters, his voice low but menacing. Whatever game you're playing with Ian Ward, Jack, you'd better end it now. You think you're clever, but I see right through you. Jack smirked, unfazed. You're paranoid, Victor. Maybe it's time to retire before you lose your edge. Victor leaned in, his voice a growl. If Ian Ward doesn't leave this town soon, I'll make sure you regret ever crossing me. The ticking clock. With tensions escalating, the question remained, who would strike first? Jack and Diane's alliance with Ian was fragile, built on a foundation of mutual distrust. Victor, though weary, was a master of survival and had no intention of letting his enemies gain the upper hand. And then there was Ian Ward, the wild card in the game. His true motives were known only to himself, and his ability to manipulate those around him made him the most dangerous player of all. The endgame. As the battle for power raged on, one thing was clear: no one in Genoa City would emerge unscathed. Secrets would be exposed, alliances would crumble, and the line between friend and foe would blur. For Jack, Diane, and Victor, the stakes had never been higher, and the cost of failure could be everything.